Each state is almost as big as a country compared to a lot of countries in the rest of the world. And we've got our own problems, our own lives, and for me, I just never really thought about it. And I didn't really grow up in church, so I didn't learn a lot of scripture. But I think probably a lot of you did, so you probably would be better at scripture than I am. There's one that I had to learn once I became a Christian. And it's pretty simple, it seems, for a lot of people, but it goes, "For God so loved the world, that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever would believe in him would not perish, but have everlasting life." And I knew that scripture because when I became a Christian, it's like they make you tattoo it on your hand, right? Everybody knows that one. But one thing I had never really noticed, that it says that God so loved the world, the entire world. But my world kind of seemed pretty small. I grew up in Florida, pretty much was only as big as my high school. But the fact is that God gave his son to die for the entire world. And that started knocking on my heart, and it made me think, okay, so if God gave his son, his only son, to die for the entire world, what part of the world is it okay if I just don't care about it? None. But I never even thought about it. In fact, when I would think about it, I would think, there's so many problems out there, so much trouble, there's just nothing I can do. I wish things would be better, but there's not. But as I was listening to Kevin speak, I realized that there were ways that I could help. So I went over to the table and I picked up a card for a little girl. Her name was Subina, and both of her parents had passed away, and so she lived with her grandparents in a country called Tanzania. And I had to look on the map to figure out where that was. I had no idea. But I felt God knocking on my heart, so I picked her up and I decided to sponsor her. And over the last 5 years, I've watched that little girl, Subina, go from being a little bitty 6-year-old all the way to an 11-year-old. And I've got to learn more and more about this ministry that Kevin was talking about. They're called World Vision. They've given us a video, and I want us all to watch it together over here on the screen. So if we could all be quiet and watch it, that would be awesome.
It begins with one. In an average life, your heart would beat more than 2.5 billion times. Never resting,
Every hour, every day.
always searching. You only have one heart, one life.
I only have one life.
What will you do?
In America, like no other place in the world, you have choices, opportunities.
Is it safe to drink water in your country?
Do Americans really eat 3 times a day?
Are there schools in your country for every child?
The truth is a lie. AIDS is wiping out an entire generation, leaving behind more than 10 million orphans.
Who takes care of all the orphans in your country?
Are you tired of people saying there's nothing you can do? One person can't change the world. Are you going to sit back and watch?
I only have one.
Or are you going to do something?
I will be strong.
So as I started learning about World Vision over the last 5 years, sponsoring my child, I realized that I had no idea what was going on in this world. I didn't know that 26,500 children die every day from preventable diseases like malaria, all sorts of things that you get, what are they called? Inoculations? What's the real word? What's the real vaccinations? All those diseases that we get vaccinations for when we're little kids, all over the world, little children are dying when those vaccinations don't cost very much money at all. And I didn't realize that that adds up to about 10 million children a year that are dying for things that we could cure pretty easily with just a little bit of money. And so the second thing I also didn't know was how easy it was to help. Because there's huge ministries out there. The one we're talking about today, the one that I've been sponsoring with for a while, is World Vision. And they've got it figured out. They're working in so many countries all over the world, including the USA, to provide help to those who are suffering and in need. And they can help save a child's life for $1.12 a day. Now, $1.12 a day, that's less than what it takes to get like a Coke from the Coke machine at school, I'm pretty sure. It's like, you could probably sponsor 2 kids for what you spend on Starbucks a day. So what we don't realize is here in America, things are different. We think of poverty, we think of people who are poor, people who are homeless. We think probably we wish they would go get a job, or they may not have it, they may be like have mental problems, things like that, right? Isn't that kind of what we associate homelessness with here in our country? And if we think about it, if things get really bad for us, if we lose our job and the worst comes to worst, we might have to go to a shelter. And we feel like our life is probably over. And let's say we were thirsty, we had nothing to drink, we might have to go into a gas station and go drink water from the sink. But in these countries, if the rain doesn't come and the crops don't grow, there aren't any shelters. The children just die. It's a different kind of poverty and homelessness. But for $1.12 a day, less than it costs to get a soda, a child can have life. World Vision can go into a community and build a school for the children. They go and they dig a well, which is huge. Like I said, if worst came to worst, we might have to go to a gas station to get some water, drink out of a hose somewhere. But every day, instead of being able to find a gas station or a hose, the women, like I said, they have to walk like 6 to 8 miles on average to go carry water back and forth from whatever source they have, just to their home so the children can have a swallow of water and not perish. And they get that water from a river or a stream, and because there aren't any schools to learn how to take care of things, they drink that water straight from there, and it makes their children sick, and some of them die. Now, if World Vision goes in and builds a well, then the women don't have to walk that far anymore. They can get a job. They can start making blankets or who knows what, making makeup. There's all sorts of projects. You'll see free trade projects in stores all the time where women in other countries are working hard to make things to earn a living. They can get a job and help support their family with their husbands. And then the children, you see the children had to go with the mother too to help carry that water to try to help their family survive. But now that there's a well, the children can go to school and they can have a chance at life in the future. And when they get sick, in these countries right now, the children will get sick, maybe they'll get bit by a mosquito or whatever, and there's no medicine. There's nothing that can do. Maybe they'll take the child to the neighborhood voodoo doctor and he'll put ashes on them or something, and he probably won't make it. But World Vision comes in and they provide medicine, and they build a church, and they say, there's a God that loves you so very much. I know you can't see him, but he gave up his one and only son for you, that you might live. And we're here because you have a sponsor. I know you can't see them, they live really far away, but they love you so much that they were willing to give up $1.12 a day so that you could have a chance at life. Now I know that these things can sometimes feel like sales pitches, but they are not. These are real children we're talking about who we really can help very easily. And I know that if we were all honest with ourselves, we might be able to find a little place for $35 out of our budget, whether we gave up a soda a day. I mean, the truth is, we can sit and say we don't have enough money to help anyone all day long, but if we've got room for 65 cable television channels in our budget, but not room for one child to help save their life, then we've missed the boat somehow. There's a hole in the gospel that we're practicing. We're not living our faith out loud. I've got a little child here in my hand. His name, It's hard for me to pronounce. He's from Niger. I believe his name is Wusini. And it's hard to see from here, but I'm going to put him back at the table so you can come find out. He's 9 years old. He lives in Niger. And if you look closely, you can see that his hair is growing in blonde. Now, they don't have a cool style where they put highlights in their hair over in Africa. What that means is that he has lived with malnutrition for so long that his body can't produce the color for his hair anymore. And it's just growing in blonde. But if someone could give up $1.12 a day, we can guarantee that he would have